Hello everyone, welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 9 playing through hard mode. In the last episode we had a pretty long drought, I think it was 13 days, and we barely survived. A lot of the beavers in this district up here, Waterfall Heights, they didn't make it. We unfortunately killed off a few beavers, we had a bit of a food shortage, and then we had to install a couple extra farmhouses, but even that wasn't quite enough. So we were sharing some food over from our first district, Lower Plains, and that did ultimately end up saving these beavers. And then we did expand the farm over here in the Lower Plains district. We have a few new farmhouses here, and here. And then we're also expanding it over in this direction. We're going to be planting quite a few crops because we don't want to have anything like that happen again. And then we also got the bots up and running. You can see that we have 6 of them right now, plus we have these 2 bot part assemblers, so we're going to be spitting out bots like crazy. And the drought has just ended, so we're the beginning of the next cycle. Overall we're doing pretty good on water considering it was a 13-day drought. The water should be returning right now, and so we're going to have to turn on these water pumps in, well, basically in all the districts, but right here especially because these guys are actually running a little bit low on water. I think we're going to try and get some more storage set up for them. Even though they are having it imported from this other district, we want to make sure that they have a bit more capacity. And then we can go ahead and start turning on these water pumps, but that also means that we need to start pausing some of these other jobs. And unfortunately we do have quite a few beavers who are injured. Most of the medical beds are occupied. You can see there's a couple occupied up here, and then we have a few more over in this area that the beavers are using. And that stems from these new jobs, so the bot part factories and the bot assemblers are pretty dangerous, so any beavers who work in there are much more likely to get injured, and that means that we effectively have fewer beavers who are able to work and help the production line. So pretty shortly we're going to get bots in some of those jobs, and one of them is the smelter. We have 2,000 science, so we can go ahead and unlock this for 1,000. Plus having the bots work in here will also help get our metal block count up. We don't have a whole lot right now. We have also not a whole lot of scrap metal. We have, looks like 4 beavers working on all of these. We might have to get even more coming up soon, but this will be a seasonal job. We don't need to be focusing on this quite as much during the wet season. Since we are a little bit short on beavers, we'll go ahead and pause a couple of them. And then in Waterfall Heights, we actually have some unemployed beavers. So we can go ahead and unpause this builder's hut. We were a little bit short on beavers in the end of the last episode because some of them unfortunately did not make it. And before we get too far into the episode, we should really plant some crops over here just to have a bit of extra food in preparation for whatever might happen to the beavers. So we'll start off with some kohlrabi and cassavas, and then I think we should also get some more soybeans planted. So we'll have those go along here, and then we'll have this lumberjack flag harvest the last few little dead trees over here before planting. And we do have some homeless beavers in this district. You can see there's 4 of them. I was looking around and there's not really a great place to place another barracks, so for now we're just going to be going vertically. We'll just start out with 2 for now. We could place some roofs and some other fun stuff on top to help the beavers' well-being get up, but if we don't have anywhere else to place some houses, then we might end up putting some more up here. If you guys notice anywhere that we could realistically fit either some of these barracks or some of the row houses, then let me know, because I didn't really see much that made a whole lot of sense. I wanted to keep it relatively close to the central area, but maybe there's a place that I'm just overlooking. So we have a bunch of dynamite placed here, although I didn't realize it when I first placed it down, that we'll need to make it go 2 tiles deep instead of just 1. But fortunately, if we delete this, we actually recover the explosive that we put into it. So if we get rid of all of this, we can place this all back, plus with some extract from the first district. That'll get us our desired tile depth. The only thing is that we'll need to unlock this double dynamite. We do have enough science for it, so let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll also need to make sure that they have extract in this district, which they don't right now. So we'll just place in a single small water tank and then have that set to extract. And then we want to make that prioritized, that way they can actually get it transported over. We also need to check the distribution limits. Looks like they don't have quite enough. We can lower this quite a bit because they won't be able to store that much. So worst case scenario, if they started importing too much, it would only be able to be 30 in total. And then we also have to have some dynamite right here. And then back in the first district, you can see that we have all of the second dam constructed, which means that this one right here is actually no longer needed. So we can go ahead and get rid of all of this. And so we still have the path across, but now we can keep this raised, and then these water pumpers will be able to pump everything in this area. The next thing we'll need to do is lower this little island here. We're a little bit short on dynamite, unfortunately, so we're gonna hold off on that for now. And it looks like we have a bad tide approaching. We only got a couple days into the wet season and it's already going to be making a turn for the worse. I don't think we'll be able to get this constructed quite in time, which is unfortunate, but I guess we'll have to make do with what we have. Thankfully, this old system that we have does work. It's just not as good as we want it to be. We also need to get some power shafts set up in here. Or not power shafts, we need to get some water wheels set up over here. And then we'll be able to connect in to these power shafts that we pre-installed and then start getting some production up in this area. We are doing much better on wood. We have 340 right now. I think a good chunk of it is in this district. Yeah, they have 250. So we can look at getting the outline for the mega reservoir set up in this episode. Although I mentioned medium water tank, get another one of those constructed. Let's do that right now. Ideally, I'd want to get a large water tank set up, but right now we don't really have a whole lot of metal blocks and they don't have that many gears in this district, so we'll just stick with one of these. Oh, we need to unpause the explosives factory. I didn't realize that was still paused. That is a lot of science to put a bot in there, and we don't have a whole lot right now. We'll wait to throw a bot in there for now, although it does look like, look at that, these mushrooms are nearly complete. We should definitely get some storage set up for them. Looks like fermented cassavas, we're nearly full on that, so we're going to switch fermented soybeans to fermented cassavas, and then we'll clear some of this and then have that set to mushrooms. Not fermented mushrooms, but to mushrooms. And then, aha, right here. This will be set to fermented mushrooms. Then we can start putting bots into these water pumps since we're making them pretty quickly now. This will be a good job to have the bots fill in when more of them are produced. It's not essential that we have bots in here around the clock, since we added a lot of farmhouses in the last episode, as some of you noticed. Ooh, we don't want that. We paused this fluid dump just a little bit too early. We don't want all these crops dying. Although the upside of the bad tide is that we'll be able to continue to pump bad water. We ran out last time. That means that sometime before the next drought, we should probably get some more storage set up, since it seems like 300 wasn't quite enough to satiate the demand for this explosives factory plus the centrifuge, both of which use bad water. And the mushrooms are getting even closer. I don't think we switched this quite yet. Yeah, we still have this on fermented cassavas, but we will be moving that to mushrooms once we actually have some stored up. And in order to get the next fermenter that will be a permanent addition, we'll need to lower this area. This won't be able to satisfy all of the space requirements to keep our production expanding, but it'll be enough to at least hold off the increased demand. I think in the long run we'll be placing some power shafts or some water wheels here, and then connect it in with power shafts, and then continue down this way and then lower this whole section. And the bad tide has officially begun. It is 18 days long. That is the longest bad tide that we have had so far. That's almost 3 weeks long. We paused the water pumps and then we raised all of these floodgates over here. Just want to make sure they're all raised. So the bad water is going to be going out in that direction. Maybe we'll be able to finish this when this bad tide's happening. Then we can go ahead and get rid of all the dynamite and then start sending some of the water, or some of the bad water down here. And one thing we could have the beavers from this district work on is maybe adding in some of the water wheels. I know we want to get the reservoir laid out, so I guess that's two things that we can have them work on. One of the prep jobs that we can have them do is to start getting rid of some of the trees over here, so we'll need to send them all the way down here first. And these guys are actually maxed out on wood. You can see that they have no more storage capacity, so we'll need to make another log pile. I think we'll temporarily put another one right back over here. And the beavers of the lower plains can also help working on getting some of the power shafts. I keep saying power shafts. Some of the water wheels set up over here. So we can go ahead and start off with this. The beavers, let's see, can they reach it from this district? Looks like they barely can. We'll go ahead and get rid of this, and then we'll extend their range. So now these guys should be able to reach much farther, which it looks like they can, which is excellent. And then we'll assign all of this to lower priority. Not super important right now, but if they need something to do, this would be a good thing to work on. And we do want them to get these constructed so they can start getting rid of these trees. So we have officially broken ground on getting the mega reservoir set up. We have just part of the outline started. These are the approximate limits. They're going to start working on some of this. We're going to have it continue right along here, but I want them to clear some of the trees out first. Then we can look at expanding that. And we're still going up in water. We have over 4,000 now, although this is the longest drought or bad tide we've experienced. So I'm hoping that we're going to be doing well by the end of it, because I think we had a little over 2,000 water left. But now is the perfect time to get this mega reservoir started, since if we have these extra long droughts and bad tides that happen, being able to have a lot of water storage capacity would be very important for the longevity of the beavers. Oh, it looks like we had the mushrooms grow up, so we probably have some sitting around. Yes, we do. Let's go ahead and switch this to fermented mushrooms, and then we'll go ahead and throw a bot in there. Have him make all the fermented mushrooms that he can. And we actually have exactly as many beds as there are beavers in this second district. That means we need to get some more housing set up. And we were going to place one right here, but we had to remove some of the wood that was being used to construct that in order to make one of these farmhouses, since we were pretty short on food. Looks like they have 200 right now. It's not too bad. We will want to increase that, but it does mean that we'll need to expand our farming area. There's not a lot of green space right now, but if we get some sort of irrigation pool over here, then we could definitely move it over into this area. It has been a few days and the beavers have been making good progress. We got rid of the water pumps over here, and then we started expanding the wall in this direction. You can see that these two are nearly done. They're just waiting on this to not grow up. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of it actually. And then we can also go ahead and clear these two jobs. And so soon the beavers will be able to make their way across here. We actually can probably get rid of this path right now. And we'll also be able to utilize all the space up here. I don't know exactly how we want to use it, but for sure we can have some of the water pumps on top of this area. Maybe it will continue to be some of the production zones. And so we'll have the power shafts come up to here and then start production over here and then just have it continue in this area. We could definitely move some of these buildings over there. Maybe some of the water storage as well. It will take some extra resources, logs and planks specifically, to get a bunch of platforms over here. But it's well worth it if we can use all this space for growing food and growing trees. And then back in the lower plains, they are nearly done putting all the dynamite and explosives over here. This guy has been working his tail off. We almost can place a bot in here. We're just a few hundred science away from switching this. And then as soon as we can, we're definitely going to switch it, because right now we're able to pump as much bad water as we need, but we just can't quite make enough dynamite. And that's also hindering the beavers in this district from finishing this area, since they haven't had any dynamite or explosives exported over into this district. And they've made excellent progress getting all these water wheels in. We just have a couple more, which means that we can continue to expand how many we have. Oh no, we have the dreaded uncharged bot. Oh, he moves so much slower. 75% reduction in movement speed. Plus he's carrying stuff, which also slows him down. And he is quite a ways from the chargers over here. That is one thing that we're going to be able to use some of this power for. We'll probably just have some chargers in this area. Let some of the bots charge up without having to go all the way back over here. And realistically, as soon as we have all the dynamite here, we can go ahead and detonate it, and even during the wet season we can have some water going over here, because this really just needs to get filled up, and they normally fills up after maybe a couple days. So if we have the water diverting the whole time, then it'd probably take maybe 4 days to fill this back up. But there'd still be plenty of time, and we'd have consistent power in this area. And we once again have a lot of unemployed beavers. I'm surprised I'm seeing some sitting around. I guess they can't reach everything unless they're short on wood. Drats. Seems like we have a lot of wood in this district, although not really. I guess we have a lot of wood that... Oh, I probably didn't mark it. Yep, that is exactly that. We do have some wood over here that we can chop down. It's a bit farther away, but we're pretty desperate right now, so might as well get that done. Since we have so many beavers who aren't doing anything, plus we have so many unemployed beavers, it'd be nice to get some more science, although that takes wood to build inventors' huts. So we can place some down, but they won't be able to build them very quickly, unfortunately. And we'll have to high prioritize them. We're doing pretty good on beavers, so I guess we can pause a couple of these breeding pods for now. But we do have enough science to unlock the bot working in the explosives factory. So we have him in there, and it looks like this is all ready to be detonated. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll just need to get some power up into this area. And it seems appropriate that one of the first things we get placed down is an explosives factory, because we are very short on explosives right now. One thing we do also have to keep in mind is that we aren't actually producing enough power, which means that we need to get another engine set up. So we can go ahead and get a couple of those placed over here. I think what we'll want to do is, in the long run, we can just keep placing engines going along in this direction. We'll just need to place some platforms over here, and we can have those tie in directly to some of the water wheels that we'll place around here. But for now, we need to connect those into this system, so we'll have some dynamite placed here and then have some power shafts go underneath. That way we can have paths go across here. And as they are constructing all of this, we are once again at the point where we're limited by the resources. Only 100 wood in total. We have some more beavers that are chopping down some of the trees over here, but overall we just need a lot more trees. And I think that means we'll need to have some more tree farms set up, which means more irrigation, and we might as well start with these beavers right here. Well, it appears we have another new problem. We're short on gears. You have a couple of gear workshops, but we'll need to get another one set up here shortly. So let's place one right here, and that means we should be able to fit something on the backside pretty well. Another 2x3 building. We'll either put another smelter over here, or maybe we can start looking at getting a wood workshop in this area. And then we've started and nearly finished the construction of this next fluid dump. We do need to prioritize it now they finished that. And then we can have this guy constructed next, and then he'll be able to start planting trees. We'll need to expand it actually. Let's just place a platform here. Now he should be able to place trees all along this area. We should also start removing the scrap metal from here. And I think these guys, yeah, they have a lot of unemployed beavers, so we can go ahead and throw them in some of these scavenger positions. And the water is finally being dumped, which means we can start planting some trees around here. We'll start with birch, at least for the short term, because those are some of the quickest trees. Well, they are the quickest trees to grow up. And then back in this first district, it looks like, man, this guy isn't actually able to plant quite as fast as we need him to. You know, this wouldn't be a bad job to throw a bot in. It is 500 science. We do have enough. I think that in the long run it'll be worth it having the trees growing up quicker, since we're pretty short on wood still. And now one of the next things we can do in this district is get another irrigation zone. I have it right here because this water eventually could dry up, and we could also put some water pumps to suck up this water. But that means that the range of irrigation won't be here. It'll actually be based around this one, which would probably be closer to this range, which means this should be a pretty good spot for the next irrigation pond. And then on top of that we can get a forester, and then we can start planting trees all around here, help get some wood pretty quickly. Now we are actually starting to get a little low on water. We have 5 days left and only 1,500 water. So what we should do is get a couple water pumps set up, then we can start pumping some of the water out of here. And soon we'll have a second forester set up, so we can go ahead and start planting some trees, at least have an area for trees to be planted. It might be a little bit bigger than we need, cut back just a wee bit. And that is where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We got a bit done. You can see in the background that the mega reservoir is starting to be constructed. We finally got this area lowered, so now we can have our production be expanded. We also worked on getting a bunch of these water wheels in, and that also looks like we're nearly done with this. They started importing explosives finally, and so soon we can go ahead and detonate that and then start using some of the power from over here. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and smash that like button. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and consider becoming a channel member. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.